This is Dean Jackson. Welcome to the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast. And this week I've got a very special episode for us. I have the very first time we spoke about the concept of more cheese, less whiskers. It's episode 24 from the I Love Marketing podcast with Joe Polish. And if you haven't heard this episode, it gives you a great foundation of the ideas behind the more cheese, less whiskers method here. And so I think you'll get a lot out of listening to me explain and introduce the concept that I had been working on for quite some time before I actually spoke about it. So I think you'll enjoy this episode, and we'll be back next time with a new business to hatch some evil schemes. So enjoy the episode.
Hey, everybody, it's Dean Jackson.
And Joe Polish.
And Joe about to cough up a lung polish.
No. I'm actually eating cherries right now. Well, first off, everyone, welcome to I Love Marketing. This is going to be a very special episode because we're going to start off with me talking about how I'm eating organic cherries while we're doing this call. And what really let me just talk about what irks me about sort of food in general. First off, I'm extraordinarily grateful that we live in a wonderful country where you can actually go into grocery stores and there's tons of food and you have all these options. And now the flip side, so I can complain about something, is I think it's absolutely ridiculous that you can go and buy like a Big Mac for a fraction of the price of organic blueberries or, a broccoli or I'm eating these organic cherries right now, which probably cost more than gold, actually, at this point.
Per ounce.
But
yeah.
The point is though, you want to eat as healthy as you can. You don't want to eat crappy fast food, and a lot of people do. I think statistically, 10% of all meals in the United States are actually consumed in a car. So
only 10%?
Yeah, it might even be more, but I think the stats are 10%. I don't know.
Yeah.
If anyone knows the accurate stats and can do a Google search and post it on I Love Marketing just to make me look like an idiot, that's completely fine by me. But the point is, while you're listening to I Love Marketing and getting the very best marketing advice, suggestion, tips, banter, whatever you want to call this, you should also be eating healthy food. That's all I'm saying.
Cherries
that's all I'm
make
trying
it
to
better.
say. Yeah, cherries are all right. You don't want to overdo it on fruit, but for the most part, cherries and lots of green leafy vegetables. Everybody should buy like a Vitamix, and they should make green smoothies and eat good stuff. So, having said that, what are we going to talk about today, Dean?
Well, here's a nice segue. Let's talk about cheese.
Yeah, that is a nice segue. Cheese, which is not a food that I would recommend anyone eat. However, but the point is this is not about talking about cheese for consumption by you. It's talking about an analogy of understanding marketing and positioning and all kinds of neat things that I'm going to let Dean describe. And, this is going to be real valuable if you kind of get what Dean is going to share with you. This could make a gigantic difference in the way you do everything, from how much money you make to the way you interact with your clients. And this will stay with you the rest of your entire business and marketing career if you take it to heart. So I consider this to be a very important episode of I Love Marketing, so we want your full and undivided attention.
Mm-hmm. Now that you've got your snack food and you're ready to pay attention for an hour,
right.
This is going
exactly.
to be exactly.
It's kind of like it's kind of like at the movies with cherries instead of popcorn.
Right. That would probably be better for you.
Much better.
You got to plan ahead, though.
Of course. Yeah.
All right. So enough of the silliness. Let's talk about cheese and how it relates to marketing. Because, when recently I was out in Phoenix with you at your 25K group, and one of the things that we talked about is I shared a concept that I've really been developing over the last few years now, and it's really become crystal clear to me, especially over the last year, that the dynamics involved in you trying to start a relationship with somebody who doesn't yet know you, like you, and trust you, which is essentially anybody in your before unit, anybody who is new to you, new to your business, new to your service, new to your product, whatever it is. There's always this uncertainty when people are getting started. And so I've been really thinking about how that dynamic comes into play especially when you're trying to get somebody to start something for the first time. And I've read a lot of articles about psychology and the human interaction dynamics. And one of the things that I read and found very interesting is the reason that mice are used as test subjects in scientific experiments is that their brains are very similar to our brains. They're much smaller, of course, but as far as it comes to their automatic reactions to things, their biology, that they're very similar to the way humans interact. And I started thinking about that you've heard other people talk about how people are afraid, and you've got to kind of visualize your prospects as mice that are afraid of you. And it really struck to me that the two prime directives of a mouse that they come pre-programmed with are two things. Number one, to get cheese, and number two, to avoid cats. That is if you boil it right down, that's the two prime directives of a mouse. And they go about their whole lives just looking for the cheese and being hypervigilant and avoiding the cat. And that's how they live the longest possible life. And
wait. And hold on a minute, too. Hold on a minute, Dean. Now, what I'd like everyone to do is write down those two prime directives if you're in an area where you actually are not driving, so that you can kind of keep this in mind, because prime directives would be the motivations, the drive, what is happening at the core of the mouse's being, using that analogy, cheese and cats. So because this will apply to everything with your prospects and your clients, and what is their motivations and how you approach them. Because if you take away from this I Love Marketing episode, if you change your approach into a manner that is more approachable for your prospects, for your clients, that will shift everything about how you do business. And what I will say, Dean, when you mentioned you were out in Phoenix recently at my 25K meeting in my office, actually in Tempe, Arizona, everyone that was in the room was completely bought into this, and they're like, wow, that makes total sense. And we're talking, there are some very high-level people there. Best-selling author David Bach was there, Dan Sullivan, founder of Strategic Coach, Dr. Daniel Amen, Jeff Walker, Dean Graziosi, the infomercial guy, and John Jantz, who's the, author of Duct Tape Marketing and the Referral Engine. Who else was there? We had Telman Knutson was there.
Yeah, Telman was there, Fabian and Derek.
Yeah, Fabian and Derek Fredrickson. And, so we're talking...
Yeah.
Who's that? Oh, yeah, Tim Larkin, Target Focus Training. So there were very high-level people there that were all some of the top in the world at what it is that they do. And when Dean explained this, everyone totally got it. So I just want to reiterate that so people place as much importance as I can convey how important this is on that. So write down the prime directives. And what are they again, Dean? Just say them again for...
So get cheese, avoid cats.
Yep, there you go.
If you sum it up, those are the two prime directives. And, just interesting, Joe, I had lunch with Dan Sullivan on Saturday, and he was telling me that company-wide in their marketing department now, they've completely embraced the cheese theory here, and they're going right into, I'll explain how they're doing it, but they're completely embracing it. It's great. It's funny to see. So, when you look at that, and that is really parallel to what our human drives are, is, if you look at for the mouse, the cheese is pleasure, or, we're all kind of motivated by pain and pleasure, and the cheese would be the pleasure, and the mouse would be the pain, or the cat would be the pain. And so we're very similar as humans, that we're driven to focus on the cheese, if you want to call it that, for our life, which are all the pleasurable things, the good things that we want, the things that we are attracted to, and to avoid the cats, which would be the painful things, getting ripped off or getting hurt or losing money or, taking risks, all those kind of things. We're naturally averse to risk, and we're naturally attracted to pleasure. And so there was a couple of really anchoring experiences that I've had over the last year that have really kind of tied this into place for me here. And so I'll share a couple of examples here, and you can see how this was in play. One of the things that I did this winter, I worked with a company in Florida that does all of my postcard printing. They do all of the fulfillment for the world's most interesting postcard. They do all of the fulfillment for our Getting Listings program. They've got these great digital variable printers, and they can print lots of volume, high speed. You can completely personalize every single postcard and every element on the postcards. And one of the things that happened was I was in their office, and just kind of as a sidebar, one of the people who heads a division of their company, that they do birthday marketing. And they had these, they do personalized birthday mailing postcards out to people whose birthday it is, for restaurants, to invite people to come to download a gift card for that restaurant for their birthday. And one of the things that they were doing was emailing to a list of restaurant owners or restaurants. They got this list from a supplier. They had 3,600 names on the list, and they didn't know whether they were the restaurant owners or the restaurant front desk or the management or whatever, where these emails were going. But they sent out an email to this group that was a lovely looking HTML email that was sort of all about their company and how they can help you fill your empty tables. And so they would send out this email, and they sent it to 3,600 people and got 0 clicks of people to come to their website. And they were kind of confused, looking at the email, everything looked great. But when you really look at it from the perspective of the mouse looking to avoid the cat or to get the cheese, this email was all about the cat. It was all about them. It was saying, we can help you fill your empty tables. We can do, we send out these postcards. And it was very clear that this was a commercial message, that the intention was to get the restaurant owner to spend money, to buy these postcards, to send them out to fill up their empty tables. And so what I said to them was, let's try and send a message to them that is completely 100% focused on what they really want. So if you, and this is going to sound sort of simple, it's going to sound incredibly unusual for a business-to-business email, but here's what we did. I said, let's send out a message. Just put the name of the restaurant in the subject line, and in the body of the message, all I want you to do is I want you to put one sentence, and let's call the restaurant Dominic's. So the message would say Dominic's in the subject line, and then the body would say, do you do birthday parties? Jim. That's it. That was the entire message. And so sent that out. I said, don't send it to all of them because we want to see what happens. But they went ahead and sent it out to 3,600 people and got hundreds of replies back from people saying, yes, we do birthday parties. Or, of course, we do birthday parties. How big is your party? How many people are going to be coming? All these different variations on that theme of, yes, we do birthday parties, and them pursuing him. And so when you think about that, 3,600 of the same people who got an email a week before and paid zero attention to it now got an email that was completely focused on only one thing, the cheese to that restaurant. And the cheese to a restaurant owner is more people coming into the restaurant or anybody in that restaurant. Those emails, we had no idea who those emails were going to, whether they go to the owner, to the manager, to the front desk receptionist. It could be going to anybody. But what I really discovered, what that cemented for me, was this idea that on any level of a business, especially if you're doing business-to-business marketing, and even if you're doing business-to-consumer marketing, but particularly in business-to-business, on every single level of the business, every employee, frontline, middle management at any level is 100% authorized to bring money into the business. But spending any amount of money, taking money out of the business, often requires approvals from 3 levels up and forms in triplicate and is to be avoided. So when you think about that, by focusing completely on the cheese, the mouse who's opening that email, maybe on the front line, maybe one of the hostess people, or maybe the manager of the restaurant or the assistant manager, or somebody was getting that, and they looked at that as an opportunity to get cheese. So they were all over it because there's a reward that comes with bringing money into the business. And there's a hassle factor involved in spending money out of the business. So people look like, well, I don't want to make that decision, or I don't want to be the one to spend that money, or that we're not going to be interested in that, or we tried that, or all kinds of different dynamics are at play. But when you focus their attention only on the cheese, the thing that they really want, they become much more responsive. So let's talk about what happened in that first interaction, Joe, because if you think about it, even in your business or my business or anybody's business, would you say that everybody on your team is fully authorized to sell stuff, to bring money into your business?
Yes, and if they do that, it makes me very happy.
Yeah.
And if they do not, it's quite annoying.
Now, when you say that it makes you very happy, how do you express your happiness?
I buy stuff.
You buy stuff for them.
No.
Feel good.
Like,
right?
How do I express it to? Meaning, what do I do with the money, or how do I express it to the team?
How do you express your happiness with the team if they bring money into the business?
I say nice things to them. I let them know that they did a great job, that I appreciate it. I reinforce the fact that every time someone purchases something from my company, we're helping them, and that they're doing a great thing to encourage and equip people, because I think really what we sell at Piranha Marketing is direction, confidence, and capabilities. Mm-hmm. And so they're making small business owners. For instance, if one of our professional cleaners, buys something from us, I mean, what they've done is they've equipped a person to be more capable to communicate more effectively their services, to get their services in the hands of more people. And it all the way around, it just makes the world a much better place from our perspective. So we've helped someone. Yeah, we're serving people.
When you think about that, is there anybody on your team who's not authorized to sign somebody up to join your $10,000 platinum coaching program for?
Well, it's $1,000 a month, but no, everyone is completely authorized to sign up. Anyone that fits the criteria and would sign up, absolutely. You know, if someone wants to join my 25K group and, you know, they make $1 million a year or more, you know, yes, there's a process we take them through, but everyone is completely, you know, authorized and empowered to do that. So, yeah.
Now, is there anybody on your team, on your front line, who's fully authorized to spend $25,000 without?
Yeah, at that level of money, the only one in my company is my assistant, Eunice. Anything over $1,000, there needs to, you know, definitely be a conversation about. There's a couple of people in my company that, you know, I know, like, and trust, and that are authorized to, you know, we have like accounts for office supplies, and, you know, I mean, we've got a pretty substantial, you know, purchasing of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's not free reign like it is with cheese. I mean, you know. We are open arms when it comes to cheese. When it's like open arms with everyone that can spend money in my company, no, we have lots of I guess restrictions.
Exactly, and that is not unlike any business in America. That there's far more attention paid to spending money than there is to bringing money into the business. Everybody joyfully has an unlimited budget for bringing money into the business.
Yes.
And so I just want people to really get that on a really deep level, that there is no restrictions, there's no budget limits, there's no maximum allocation for bringing money into the business. Everybody is fully happy to bring money into a business, and fully happy when anybody on their team brings money into the business. So when you really get that on a deep level, if you can, especially if you're going to have somebody making a decision that's going to involve thousands of dollars, it's very, very important that you focus, first of all, on the cheese, on what that money is going to get. Now, when you look at it, that part of the thing that makes this really work is if you do have something that is going to help them make more money. If you're in a business that helps people get something that's going to bring them more money, or something that's going to bring them a lot of joy, if it's a consumer item, that if you get them focused completely on that first, that's the number one way to get the most interest involved with people. Now, when you look at what happened there, that's not enough, because now you still have to think like like you're thinking this all the way through, that you've got to know how this is going to turn into money for your business. So let's just continue the example of the birthday postcard guys, because what they have is they have a product that helps people get more business for their restaurant. And what we did was, I sat down with these guys and said, what would you say would be the minimum acceptable requirement that somebody would have as a business owner or a restaurant owner to invest in doing birthday marketing? If they spent money to get people, what would you expect that there would be a reasonable return that they would be completely okay with? And so, because a lot of times we try and overstate what the benefit is, and you look at your best case scenario, and there are people who, are spending $500 and bringing in $5,000, and you look at that as like a huge ROI, and you start talking about that as the potential benefit. But if you look at it that as a business owner, most business owners for something like a new customer acquisition program would be content to continue, or at least explore continuing, if they were doubling their money. If they were going to spend $500 and bring in $1,000, there'd be a pretty good chance that they would want to continue doing something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So what I said to them was, let's look at the psychology of the way people want to start these things. Most people don't want to commit to a long-term thing. I mean, they would hope to get people to sign up for a 6-month program that they would do 500 birthday cards for $3,000 over the 6 months. And the thing is that most businesses, especially when they're starting something, getting something going, most people want to test something on a small level and make sure that it actually works. And that's the dynamic that's naturally in play, especially if there's any kind of resistance at all. Like most people, if they're not familiar with it, or they're not familiar with the way that you do business or what your business offers, they want to kind of take their time in making those decisions, unlike bringing money into the business where they can make that decision on the spot. And that's why everybody replies, yes, we do birthday parties. And now they're kind of pursuing you because they view you as cheese. So you have to think now 2 or 3 moves ahead to know that how this is going to translate into that business taking their first step in starting a business relationship with you. So we crafted some email messages that would be done in a dialogue method, where when they replied, yes, we do birthday parties, we would reply back and say something just like this: perfect. I've been working with Roy's restaurant here in Sarasota on some birthday marketing, and I'm looking for somebody to work with in Phoenix. Could you accommodate 5 or 6 birthday parties next month? That was the whole email, right? So now we've got somebody who does birthday parties. We've introduced the idea that we've been working with another business just like theirs in another part of the country. We are looking for somebody to work with in Phoenix. And can you accommodate 5 or 6 birthday parties next month? More cheese. Can you accommodate even more cheese? And people would reply back and say, well, yes, we can do 5 or 6 birthday parties. We've got 6 different restaurants or 6 different branches or whatever, 6 different locations. And they were very interested in pursuing this. And you're showing them how you've been doing, introducing the idea that you've been doing some birthday marketing. And now they're even more invested in this cheese. And we haven't asked for an order yet. We're using email in this situation to engage somebody in a dialogue just like we would if we were having a real conversation. And that's the best analogy that you can use for email, is to think of it as a conversation, just a really slow conversation where you say something and then I say something and then you say something, and we are engaged in this dialogue. So we only want to reach one objective at a time. Do you do birthday parties? Yes, we do birthday parties. Perfect. We've been working with Roy's restaurant in Sarasota. We're looking for somebody to work with in Phoenix. Can you accommodate 5 or 6 birthday parties next month? Yes, we can. Then now we would go in and introduce the idea of how we work together. We put together a video that showed them exactly how the birthday marketing process works. Here's a video of what we've been doing with Roy's, and take a look, and you can find out exactly how we work and introduce them to the whole concept then. So they would go and they could look and see how everything works. And then the next day would follow up with a message that basically said, we're putting together our birthday mailings for July next week. And what I'd love to do is do a small test with you where we'll mail to 200 people who have birthdays within a mile or 2 miles of your restaurant. And the test is $199. And if you don't double your money, we'll give you your money back. That was the offer. Rather than making somebody commit to a long, 6-month process that they're going to spend $500 or $1,000 a month for 6 months, why not go with the dynamics that are already naturally in play? Go with their natural tendency to want to go slow, to want to test something. And I mean, for small business owners, for a restaurant or for, a salon or a cafe or any, kind of small business, spending $200 that's a reasonable thing, that especially if you've seen that this really works for the other people that you were shown in the video. All of that stuff really helps people make a decision that, you know what, it's probably worth a test. But we started out, remember, with a list of people who were unresponsive just a week before. Same people with a different offer, nobody replied, and then we send the simple all cheese message. And that's where I was saying to them, this is where I've really been sort of clarifying this whole concept, is that, when you are initiating something like this, the very best thing that you can do is to avoid highlighting your whiskers. Avoid letting people see that you're a cat in the initial stages, And that's the thing. It's like, as soon as you see an ad or a business or a email or a website or anything that's trying to attract people right away, and the first line is, "We've been in business for 15 years doing this, blah, blah, blah," it's like the cat speaking, right?
The whiskers have just shown up.
Your whiskers have just shown up. So the best thing that you can do is to get your whiskers out of it. If you can focus only on the cheese, that's the thing that's compelling to people. I did this drawing for Frank Kern several months ago, maybe a year ago now, because I was back here in Toronto. I'm going to put it up on I Love Marketing under this episode. But the picture basically shows, everybody's kind of focused on their 4-step process, or their, this is how we work kind of thing. And when you look at it, that they're showing essentially the path to get to the cheese. But the thing is that the mouse doesn't really care about that process of getting to the cheese, of how you get there. What they really care about is that you get to the cheese. And so the closer you are to getting to the cheese, the easier it is to get people to accept your message. So I'm going to put up this picture here, but it's kind of a great little illustration. Frank laughed and laughed when he saw it. But that's really what's kind of been clarifying this idea here, that when you look at anything that you do, how can you avoid looking like a cat? How can you get the whiskers out of your sales message and just focus on more cheese and less whiskers? If you can initially present your thing only focused on the cheese of what it is that your prospect really wants, the better off you are. Now, we do this in the real estate situation too, like for realtors going out to get new listings. One of the things that the whole evolution of this is, realtors for years would send out and do send out personal promotion postcards that have their name on them, their logo, their picture, and they're saying, thinking of buying or selling, call Joe Polish, or thinking of moving, call Joe and start packing. And all these things where, Joe Polish is selling Phoenix 1 yard at a time, all those things where you're the star of these ads, right? And people mail these to homes in an area where they'd like to get more listings. And that is all about your Whiskers, right? Where you're saying,
right.
Sell your house with me because you're the cat. Now, one of the things that we've done with our Getting Listings program is focus only on the cheese. So if you are thinking about selling your house, Joe, what's one of the top things on your mind? Like, what's the question that pops into your mind when you contemplate maybe selling your house?
Well, how much can I get for it?
How much is my house worth? That's the number one thing on somebody's mind, right? So when I really discovered that and made a postcard campaign completely geared around that thought only. What's the name of your neighborhood? You're in Tempe, but what area of what neighborhood or area of Tempe are you?
Well,
not your little subdivision, not your.
Yeah, because I'm trying not to disclose where I live.
Yeah, no, I understand.
People on Google's.
Well, pick one in Tempe that would be like close to your office or something.
Well, it's like the Hayden area.
Okay, Hayden. So
yeah.
and so when you look at Hayden, somebody who, if you live in Hayden and you're thinking about selling your house, the number one thought that you have is, how much is my house worth? So if you look at how Robert Collier would say, enter the conversation that's already going on in somebody's mind, if you were to get a postcard in the mail that offered you, not thinking of selling your house, call Joe Polish, but somebody sent you a postcard that had no picture of you, no logo on it, no indication that there's a cat attached to this, but was just a simple message with a picture of a home or homes in Hayden or the gateway entry to Hayden, and the offer was free June 2011 report on Hayden house prices, and you could call or go to a website and get this report on all the homes that are for sale and have sold in Hayden in the last 6 to 12 months to get an idea of what your house might be worth. That would be very interesting to you because that's the number one thought on your mind. And it's not saying, you're not, by calling this, committing to anything. The first thought that people have when they're thinking about selling their house is, of course, how much is my house worth? Now, the truth is that they have that thought 90 days, 6 months, 9 months before they ever decide to actually do something about selling their house. That, if they're going to sell their house, is the primary thought. That's the thought that triggers the whole process. So by identifying people who are interested in knowing what their house is worth, that is identifying people who have a high propensity for selling their house in the next 12 months. And so that has been a tremendous thing that we've been able to do by just focusing completely on the cheese. So the cheese to a person who's going to sell their house is, how much is my house worth right now? That's the thought. They don't want to get involved with a realtor right now, a cat, because they know that the cat's going to try and come over and get them to list their house with them right now. And they're not ready to list their house right now. And so,
hey, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I want to make a distinction here too, because I totally get what you're saying on all this, and I love it, and I hope everyone is kind of fully engaged.
That's why I want to kind of use different examples to kind of illustrate it.
Yeah, well, one thing I want to say is, like, you because the cat in the analogy of a mouse is usually trying to attack and eat the mouse. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I don't want people to get mixed up on is like, the cat is showing up as if you are victimizing your clients. We are saying all of this, well, Dean's saying it all, under the assumption that you as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, a seller of a product or a service, what you're selling is actually providing value and is delivering what people want and preferably are going to get, it's going to be a win-win situation. Meaning, if you are selling something that does truly indeed take advantage of people and you're going to trap them, then, that is not our objective here. Our objective here is to understand how, if you really have something that can create value for people, but it's being presented in a way to where they feel threatened, or like you had talked about with the team, like there could be people showing up at my company and talking to my staff that have something that could truly benefit me that I would love to have in place in my company if I only knew it would benefit me and all that. But if they're approaching everyone in my company not with cheese but as a cat, then they're never gonna sell anything to me if it comes or the conversation starts through me or whatever. And so the point is that I don't want anyone to feel like, I taking advantage of someone and watch out for the cat. Well, if the realtor's really not going to help someone, it's not going to be a good fit. But if that person could really help them, but they never get hired by that person because of their approach, then everyone loses.
Right. That's exactly right. And the primary assumption in all of this that I have with all of our listeners is that they really do have something valuable. That's got to be the number one prerequisite. You've got to have something that is a dream come true for your prospects. It's the ideal scenario for them. And I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help our listeners get over this natural tendency that people have is to view you and label you as a cat because they don't know that you're a good one. They don't know that you've got something that's going to be very valuable to them. So it's safer for them to assume that you're a cat.
Yeah, and can I say something about that too? And then I want you to continue. I just think this is such an important thing. I believe it's human nature to whatever you're not up on, you're down on. Yeah. And meaning if you were to go to someone and say, I really think you should go to this seminar because it's really going to help you. Now, most people are not going to say, oh, really? I could really use some help right now. And, tell me all about that seminar. They're typically going to they're going to poo-poo the idea. They're going to be reluctant. They're going to be skeptical. You're going to have to sell them, in the traditional sense of the word, on what this is and why it's all, why you think it's great or whatever. And, people have a tendency that if they don't understand anything, they don't view it or accept it with open arms and curiosity. They usually approach it as, I don't want anything to do with it. It's negative. And so the point is if people are not up on your company, they're going to have more of a tendency to view you as a cat, not as cheese.
That's exactly right.
Even if you offer nothing but cheese. The point is, it doesn't matter, there's this great overhead that I used to have based on a conversation I had with Dan Kennedy years ago that said, there's no relationship between being good and getting paid. There's no relationship between being good and getting paid. And it doesn't matter how good your product or service is or what it does until after somebody's bought it. And so, there's a lot of people that are running around, that are really good people, but they never get paid. And the reason that they never get paid has nothing to do with the fact that they don't have good products or services, any more than when I was a dead broke carpet cleaner, I knew how to clean people's carpets. We provided a great service, but if I couldn't get anyone to hire me, it didn't matter. And it wasn't until I changed my approach to buy my carpet cleaning services to free consumer's guide on how to choose a carpet cleaner or how to choose a carpet cleaner or how to, those sorts of things where I started shifting the message to be, before I ever met or heard you explain this analogy, Dean, right. It wasn't until I learned how to position myself as cheese that people started, because who wants to go out and hire a carpet cleaner? I mean, everything about that is cat.
Right, exactly.
Hey, let's wake up today and figure out how we're going to, bring something scary into our lives. Man, nobody wants anything. So anyway, so my point is I want everyone listening to take this in the positive sense. We're not trying to say, oh, here's how to sneak in and sell something that's not going to help someone to somebody by repositioning yourself. This is about, if you are good, if you create value, you need to set up, because if you have a process that's going to help restaurant owners put on birthday parties and get a lot more clients and make a bunch of people happy, you got to position it in a way to where it's appealing to them, because if it's not, they're never going to do business with you, and they're never going to get the benefit of doing business with you, and that's the point.
Yeah.
So carry on, my friend.
You're absolutely right. And so when you look at that as the opportunity that you have to really differentiate yourself by making your product actually work, that's the biggest thing. I mean, when you look at your prime directive should be to only do things that are going to create incredible value. And if you don't do that, you don't deserve to get paid. You don't deserve to have a business that thrives, because in order for you to have long-term success, you've really got to have that mindset that your business thrives to the degree that your client's business thrives, or your clients' lives are enhanced, or they get the result that it is that they're looking for. And so you've often, one of the biggest marketing ideas around is risk reversal, is taking the chance, taking the risk and putting it on your shoulders instead of on your prospect's shoulders. And, we talk about reversing risk by giving people guarantees and knowing that your clients or your prospects or your customers or your patrons are not going to be damaged in any way, that there's zero risk that things could go wrong. And so one of the easiest things for you to do to just get into that mindset is to really look at the service or the product that you deliver and ask yourself, what would happen if we only got paid if our clients get the result that we're actually showing them here? So, you look at if you've got something that helps business owners make more money, or you've got something that helps people achieve a certain outcome. What would happen if you only got paid if they actually achieve that result? And that's a very mind-expanding thought, because for some people that might be a really scary thought. When you think about it, I think back, Joe, in January when you were down in Florida and we had lunch with an information marketer who couldn't understand why people, weren't really buying his stuff or getting the result with his stuff. And
yes,
it turns out that he didn't have something that was so surefire that he would stake his life on it working, and that's really and he was almost surprised when I asked him that, do you have something that you would stake your life on, that if they just did this one thing that it would work? And he was kind of surprised by that, but it was really, that was the bottom line, that you've got to have something that actually gets the result before you can expect to get paid for it,
Yeah, exactly. And what's even funny is, like, how can someone expect to have confidence in building and growing their business, or expect your clients to have confidence in you, if you literally don't have confidence in what it is you're selling, or you're not clear on it? Because in that particular individual's case, I know for a fact that, I was almost sitting there going, I believe in what you're selling, not because I'm like, I have this blind faith in it. I mean, I know people that have made money and have had results using what it is he's selling, but he himself could not articulate it or hone in on it, and it was just like this fog to him. Yeah. And when you were taking him through the question process, he's like, huh? Yeah, so it's pretty weird.
Yeah. But
so don't be one of those people that live in the fog.
Right. So when you look at, that's the first place to start, is to look at your business and say, how can you make it so ridiculously easy for somebody to get started that there's 100% upside. It's all cheese for them. And, your whiskers don't even come into play. They don't even notice your whiskers because they're so focused on the cheese and how readily available it is for them, that they see only the cheese, and they don't see that there's any possible way that they could lose in this arrangement. And,
hey, and I got a funny exercise that everybody can do just to prove that people were. Do you know how you? This is like not a useful exercise. It's just going to be a ridiculously goofy, funny exercise, but it will still prove a point. You know how you had the question in the email that says, "Do you do birthday parties for restaurant owners?"
Right.
And they're going to be like, "Yes, cheese." I sat and wrote a little note here like, "Do you eat pizza?" And I think everyone should go to Facebook and Twitter and just literally type in, do you eat pizza? And I bet you it will start a gigantic thread, and perhaps I will be known. We'll have to give you credit because it stemmed from you, so it's really your fault. And I don't ever really recommend from a health standpoint that anyone per se should eat pizza. But, what the hell? If everyone just wrote, do you eat pizza? Just randomly, you will see assuming you have any friends, but you will see tons of comments of people. And why? Because it's like, or if you wrote, do you like pizza? Yes or no? Cheese.
I'm doing it right now. Do you think do you eat pizza or do you like pizza?
Yeah. So if everyone listening to I Love Marketing posted that from this episode on Facebook and put, from Joe Polisher to question, whatever, they have to do it, and they have to promote I Love Marketing in the process and say, well, if you want to understand why I did that, you got to go and listen to this episode. It will create a viral thing. But the point is, tens of millions of people could perhaps, at this episode, it could be a spiral thing about eating pizza. But, the point is, people are going to respond to that as
I just
cheese.
Right now, so I'm going to see what happens. Do you eat pizza?
Honestly, it's such a simple, obvious cheese question. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
what are your favorite ingredients?
That's the thing. If you know what the, oh, there we go, Paul Reddick.
He already responded
in 3 seconds. Oh my goodness. So,
yeah, see, we're not even selling anything here, but the point is, that's the thing. Well, that's why the I Love Marketing conference that's coming up is going to be all about how to position the cheese. And so if you want to become a master deliverer of your cheese, then, come to the I Love Marketing conference in September in beautiful Arizona. During that time of the year. It's awesome. Okay, so how do we wrap up this? All right, we gave, the concept. I hope that, from my perspective, you absolutely delivered on what I hope we would do on this particular episode, which is really give people the perspective of how to look at how they position themselves. And I can assure you that if you really start understanding, as Robert Collier says, Robert Collier years ago in the 50s wrote a book called the Robert Collier Letter Book, that you want to enter a conversation that's existing in your prospect's mind. And, like you have so eloquently explained with the, cat and mouse analogy, people's prime directive, or the mouse's prime directive, is to get cheese and avoid cats. And so you need to, in your own world, how do you position what you say, how you say it, the marketing, everything about, if you want to sell more stuff, you want people to, not see you coming at them with whiskers and teeth, grinding. You want to set it up so that you are as appealing as humanly possible. And if you do that, your entire business is going to change for the better.
Mm-hmm. You hit it on the head. What's more appealing to a mouth than cheese? Nothing. And what's more appealing to your prospects than their dominant thoughts?
Yep,
The dominant thought, the thing that is most on their mind. If I'm a carpet cleaner, the thing that's most on my mind, by the way, just in this little time here, we got 4 comments and 3 likes already. So,
that's fantastic.
Oh, this is cracking me up. But here's the thing. One of the things that you can do to sort of, get yourself into this is, and this is one of the things that Dan Sullivan said they're doing, is they get a piece of paper and they divide a line down the middle and they look at every message component, everything that they're doing, and on one side is cheese, on the other side is Whiskers, and they divide that line right down the middle, and you look at every component of your marketing message and ask yourself, is that cheese or is it Whiskers? And the whole idea is to completely focus on the cheese and completely eliminate the Whiskers in the messaging. And so here's a little hint, any message, anything about you and your experience and your competency and your interest is Whiskers. Anything about the result and about their desires and their hopes and their dreams, that's the cheese. So if you just do a cheese audit on all of your marketing materials, all of your marketing messaging, that's going to be an incredible place to start. And I've got this whole analysis and this whole exercise that we'll be able to do at the I Love Marketing conference in September, and where to go with that, what to do, and how to take it so that it becomes the backbone of all of your marketing.
That is what I am trying to say. No, it's true, and doing a cheese audit would be a very good exercise for everyone. And you said something I want to point out real quickly. You talked about, like what could be your skills, your greatest knowledge and capabilities in your mind could also be perceived as a threat, and you perceived as a cat with whiskers coming at the mouse if you don't talk about what's in it for them.
Yeah.
If you don't think about it. And see, it's one thing to be, a person that really is not delivering anything of value and you really don't care and all you're trying to do is make a quick buck. It's like, that is, it doesn't require any sort of empathy or compassion for people in order to have a scammy sort of business set up like that. To be a person that really cares, like when I was a broke carpet cleaner, and I was certified. I mean, I went and got trained on how to clean carpets properly. I understood pH levels. I, understood chemistry. I mean, I really cared about my clients. I didn't do bait and switch advertising. I worked really hard and I provided really good service, and it's really frustrating to live in a place to where you're like, I'm doing everything I know how to do. Why am I broke? Why is this not working? And according to the Kauffman Foundation, I think it's like 94% of might be higher, might be 95 or 96, but it's a tiny percentage of people that make good money. 94%, I believe, of entrepreneurs never make more than $50,000 in a year in their entire careers. Wow. The vast majority. I mean, you're talking like hardly anyone, relative to the amount of business owners out there, actually does well. And it's frustrating because these are some of the hardest working people in the world. And part of it is not because they don't have cheese that they can offer people. Part of it is because everyone perceives them as a cat.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
And so we're not just, we're not doing this episode just because it sounds cool and it's a neat analogy. I mean, this is really to be taken seriously. This could really change your life. This could really allow you to get the freedom that you became an entrepreneur for in the first place. And what we would like you to do is, lots of business owners out there, lots of struggling people trying to make a business work, start a business work, out of all of the things that they can learn about the technical side of their business, the management side of their business. If they don't get this part right, the chances of them having any sort of success are virtually slim to none.
And so I would, encourage you to share this episode of I Love Marketing with anyone that you feel needs to hear it, especially people that are always trying to sell things to you, but they never approach you with hey man, set it up so it's appealing to me. Don't come at me with these manipulative sales pitches and stuff like that. What's in it for me? Because you'll be doing them a favor. In a lot of ways, you'll be doing yourself a favor. Because I certainly don't like doing business with people that are always coming at me with whiskers, even if they have stuff I may like.
Nobody likes whiskers in their cheese.
Exactly. So next episode we're going to talk about vegan cheese and maybe stuffed cats. I don't know.
There we go. But this one we're going to sum up with your prime directive: more cheese, less whiskers. That's the thing. That's what we're looking for from you. I'd love to hear your comments. I hope we were clear on that. I mean, this concept is still kind of evolving. I just started articulating it just in the last little while, and so I'm anxious to hear your feedback on it, because I know that if you get it, and like Joe said, we've been in rooms with people who at the highest levels who just get it and see how profound it is. I'd love to hear your comments on that too.
And there we have it. I'm glad we got to take that time to really establish the baseline for More Cheese, Less Whiskers, so you understand the real concept behind the name of the podcast and a lot of the principles that we talk about when we're hatching evil schemes. Are always looking to do a cheese audit and look for and remove as many whiskers as we can. So before next time, if you'd like to go a little deeper, you can go to morecheeselesswhiskers.com, download a copy of the More Cheese, Less Whiskers book. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can click on the Be a Guest link. Thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you next time.